So tonight we are on for a talk about marketing and being sexy as fuck. Marketing is such an important task for us as professionals, as business owners, as people with a purpose. And sometimes we tend to forget that. I see a lot of people who know about the importance of marketing, but either they have no idea or there's a little bit of like a misconception around what marketing is or should be. And maybe you find that marketing has gotten a little bit of a dirty word, dirty meaning. You might not like the idea of doing marketing yourself because there's all these old school ways that we have been, well, taken through ourselves. I mean, how many times have you been sold something that you actually didn't want? How many times have you seen through all their tricks and you just felt like, it's intrusive, it doesn't feel real. I know that I have. Sometimes it feels sleazy, and I can completely understand if now your view of what marketing is a little bit stained, and you might not like to position yourself in the same way. You don't want to take on those same techniques, and I fully understand. I get it. That's something that has actually made me not like marketing for a long time. And I've been a marketing professional for over 15 years. So, yeah, there is a bit of a paradox here. So, 2 weeks ago, Shawnee and I went live actually in this very group to have a chat about this. And some of you may have seen it, some of you may have not. I would definitely recommend that you watch the interview, but I'm going to debunk some of the myths here in this talk tonight as well. So, what is marketing really? And what could you do to market yourself better, especially in the world of sexuality? So tonight we're going to go through 6 steps. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. We decided on doing this way, with this structure, with me only talking instead of an interview this morning. So that's a relatively new thing, which means that I came up with a chat and a structure or a teaching for today that I haven't practiced. But I'm going to at least aim to keep this within the hour that we have together so that I won't take up too much of your time, but humor me a little bit. I'm gonna allow the flow and the creativity to come as this talk happens. Yeah, and I'm gonna trust that everything that wants to come through is gonna be of value to you. That is really my aim for tonight, is to deliver value to you. All right. So if you recognize yourself in what I just shared with you, how marketing can sometimes feel scary because you don't want to become one of those sleazy marketers, because marketing seems difficult because it might not be your specialty, or maybe you're afraid that you would get too much in your head, or that because it's one of the things that we like as professionals in sexuality is the embodiment and the flow and the creativity and the purpose that we have. And something that we're maybe less proficient at, something we don't do as much, such as in your case, for example, marketing, might feel scary. And what if things are going to fail? So you might have some imposter syndrome here. You might even feel that your perfectionism won't help you to to get this off, to kick this off well. But I can tell you that when it comes to marketing, everyone can learn this, and there's a few basics that are really gonna, if you stick to the basics, then you can launch this in a really good way. All right. So the goal of marketing, and we're talking about branding and marketing both. There is a difference, actually. I will explain in a little bit, but there is a goal, and the goal is to create attraction. So we don't want to chase customers the whole time, right? I don't know about you, but I don't want to feel like I have to chase my clients. If people don't want to work with me, then I'd rather not have to push my product onto them, my offering, and trying to convince them. That doesn't sit with me. And most of you might relate to that as well. You might feel like, I'd rather have someone with a fuck yes than people that you need to chase. So we want to create a level of attraction. So how can you do that? And what is marketing really? Well, marketing is about creating attraction and about helping people to understand if and why your offer is of value to them. So I'm going to repeat that because you might want to write this down. If you don't have pen and paper yet, I would really recommend that you get some. So marketing is about helping people to understand if and why your offer is of value to them. The reason why I'm repeating this phrase is because there's a few key things that are really important here. First of all, it is about helping. The word helping is crucial because it's not about forcing your stuff onto people. It is about helping them. It's about helping them to understand what you have to offer, okay? Some people just don't know yet. Some people don't know how you can help them. It is your job to take yourself to the market. This is something that we talked about 2 weeks ago. Marketing is about taking yourself to the market, literally. And 2 weeks ago, I used the example, I will repeat it here for those who haven't seen it, that if, for example, the local bakery wouldn't do any promotion about his shop, then you wouldn't know that it's there. But it's vital to our survival, let's put it a little bit black and white, that we know where to get our food in this society, right? We need to know where to get our bread. So if someone with a talent to make the most luscious, yummy, healthy bread doesn't share about this, then we're not going to know. And we might need to get other food supplies to survive because it's a very basic human need, food, right? So like the baker in your area, in your town, takes his responsibility to let you as the client know that you can get some really nice bread and cookies or croissants. We as professionals, also in service-based businesses, we have the same responsibilities to take ourselves to the market, to make ourselves known. Okay? So we need to help people to understand that. The other important element in the sentence that I just gave you is that they want to understand if and why your offer, remember the word offer? So there needs to be some kind of offering. If you don't have an offer, if you don't have a product or a service, and for me that's all one, if it's a physical product or it's a service, it doesn't matter, it's all the same, it's an offering. Without an offering, you have nothing to sell and there's no business basically. So, and it needs to be not just any offer. No, it needs to be an offer that is of value. If the offer that you have for them has no value for your clients, there's no reason for them to get it. So the value could be because you're actually helping them improve their health, improve their connection with themselves. It could be that you're helping them to experience more intimacy with themselves or their partners. So there can be all these benefits that you're giving them through your service. And that is the value that's in it for them. So it's not about the value for you, it's about the value for them. So that is another piece in this sentence that is super important, is that it's about them. One of the things that I see a lot of professionals do in any industry, not just the realm of sexuality, but in any industry, I see people focusing a lot on what they have to offer and what they believe is important. And sure, as professionals, you know a lot. You have all this knowledge and experience, which is amazing. But you always want to make sure that you focus on them, that you focus on the value that's in it for them, okay? So keep that in mind, that as a good marketer is focused on the market, on getting, making sure that the offer that they have is of value for them, not just because you simply want to do something because you like it. Otherwise, you have a hobby. If you, for example, love making beautiful tea infusions, but it doesn't sell, then you have a hobby. And that's something that we're not talking about. That we're not talking about you having a hobby, building a hobby. No, we're talking about you having an offering that has value, that is of relevance to them. Okay, so this is really basic stuff, but so crucial. um, if you really want to do your marketing right, if you want to be successful as an entrepreneur, I would say, you need to go through a number of basic steps. If you don't do this, then you're going to miss out. A lot of people tend to start somewhere towards the end with the practical stuff, like, oh my God, now I need to do like, I need to post something on my social media. So that's where they're going to start. But then they run into some problems. You might recognize this. You're starting a business, you have a new offering, and you're thinking, okay, so how am I going to get this out there? Okay, so I need to write like a post. I need to write a social media post. I need to get people to talk about this. And then all of a sudden, all these questions arise, like, okay, so how am I going to write this? What's going to be the message? That already answers the questions that you need to do some work up front before you dive into the different platforms and before you actually start talking about this. All right, we need to do some groundworks first. And that's what we're talking about here. Now, we're talking about becoming sexy as fuck. So what does that really mean? Well, the sexy as fuck is actually an acronym. So sexy AF. Those are 6 letters in total, sexy AF, and they all represent a step that you need to go through, a step that you need to take, a skill that you need to take on basically and learn and develop so that you can become so sexy for your clients that they will feel attracted to you and say yes. And in fact, these are the steps that we're going to take people through in the upcoming program. It's a 6-week program that we're going to launch on the 5th of November. That's going to start then. And it's going to be really, really epic. It's going to be with in-depth teachings. It's going to be very hands-on with lots of templates and tools that you can implement in your business straight on. And that is going to help you, kick off, what's the word of kicking off the roof? No, that's a different one. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about here. So sexy as fuck. So what is this first step about? The S. So if anything, what is important, if you don't have this very first step, then you're going to start with the wrong frame of mind. You might still get sucked into these negative mindset around what marketing is. So the first thing that you need is to get the right state of mind. So the S will be for state of mind. Okay, what is marketing? How can we reframe that? How can we use marketing techniques that have been proven and tested, but use it in an ethical way, in a real way? And how can we stay away from the sleazy techniques? All right, so this first step, and we're going to go through that in the program, in the 6-week program in depth, but this is very, very important. So I'm going to take you through a number of very simple steps right now, starting with how important it is to differentiate between branding and marketing. And this is really important for your mindset as well. Why? Because most people start with marketing because that's what we're told. We know we need to take ourselves to the market, and that's what I'm talking about here as well. So yes, I get it. At the same time, if you don't have the foundation, and the foundation is your brand, if you don't have the foundation, then you can build the house, but it's going to basically fall apart, right? I sometimes use the analogy of how people love to start painting and decorating and getting the house done so that it looks nice, but if there's no foundation, if it's not done right, then what's the point of beautifying things? So your marketing is not just about starting an Instagram feed. It is not just about starting a website, even though that is fun because you can actually see it and it's tangible, and we love doing that. We love seeing straight on results. I get it, but if we skip the step of building the foundation, then we're basically gonna build something on loose sand. Okay, so branding is your foundation, and branding is very much about, who am I, or who is the who am I as a business. Now there's a difference here, and I'm gonna with the risk of going a little bit in too deep right now, I'm still going to mention it because this is important. The question that you need to ask at the beginning to make sure that you start with the right state of mind is, am I going to build a business with its own identity, or am I going to use my personal name? There's no right or wrong here, but it does determine the strategy somewhat. Okay? So are you going to basically build a personal brand using your personal name, or are you going to create an identity around the business so that it's a little bit less dependent on you? You can also do a combination, actually. That's something that I do. My business, Be a Brand Rebel, has its own identity, and then there's Michelle. That's me. And I brand myself personally as well with a message. And this gives me more freedom to actually do different things and have different offerings. So with Be a Brand Rebel, I really focus on branding and marketing. That's what I do for you guys here. In my own name, so that's not related to that business, I actually do bodywork, tantric bodywork. So this is an important one because, if you have different ways of different incomes or different things that you do, you might want to think of, having separate businesses or separate projects so that it won't get too confusing. So once you have a very clear strategy for the branding, for the business, your personal brand, and as soon as you build that foundation about, who are you, what's the identity of the business or your personal brand, how do you want to position that, what's the message, then the marketing will start, and that's an ongoing thing. Now, given that we have limited time, we're going to mix them a little bit through, okay? And that is because, honestly, if I would be talking about, creating the brand first, like that takes months. So that is quite a lot of work. And that is something we want to not go for a quick fix, but we do want to get results soon enough. So with Sexy as Fuck, the course that we are going to start in a number of weeks, we're going to pay attention to both so that you will, be working on the brand as well as on the ongoing stuff that will actually get clients in. So now that you know that, for example, that branding is the foundation and marketing is an ongoing thing, what you really need to understand as a marketer is that this is not a one-off job. You cannot think, I've done my marketing now with my website and I'm done. And now I'm just going to lean back and let the clients come in. It does not work that way. This is ongoing thing. So you need to understand that this is going to be a part of your weekly program, your weekly schedule as an entrepreneur. I know that a lot of you might not like it because you would like to focus on, working with clients and doing that what you're passionate about. So I'm going to invite you to actually start loving marketing, making love to marketing, to the idea of bringing yourself to the market, of making yourself visible, no matter how much resistance you may feel towards it. I'm going to invite you to reframe all of that and understand that once you see this as part of you being in service, this is what you do when you're in service. It's not just about the work that you do with clients directly. It's also about your job as an entrepreneur, putting the marketing hat on. So important. And as soon as you start loving that role as well, really connecting to it, then that's magic. And that is the state of mind. And that's what we're talking about in this first step. That is so important for the rest of your success in your marketing. And if you ask me, this is something that comes from the heart. This is something that is not a trick of the mind or anything. But, as soon as you connect to your purpose, and we might want to do that quickly. I'm just going to ask you to close your eyes briefly. And let's just breathe in together. Breathing in and out. And then bring all of your awareness to your heart space. The place where you feel love and connection and compassion. Just feel the love that is present here, the love you have for yourself, for your partner, for your kids. And also see if you can expand that love for the people that you would love to help, that you can support. Maybe you can even picture them, visualize them in front of you. And then see if you can expand that love in your heart to them as you see them in front of you. See if you can really increase that love bubble from your heart all around you to your whole surrounding, to the people that you can visualize in front of you, and even beyond just your audience. Maybe just increase it for the whole world, and the earth, the sky, the water. Yeah, just feel what it feels like to be connected to that love and to that heart space. Knowing that you have a purpose here on earth, a purpose to help and to serve. And from that place, usually that gives that connection with your heart, brings so much courage and fierceness that any doubt or resistance usually can fade. Just expansion. And I hope that you can feel that expansion now. So let's just take one more deep breath. And open your eyes again. That was just a very brief moment of which I hope has quickly connected you to what you can do here on this earth, so that this is the place that you want to work from. This is the place that you want to market yourself from service, from love, from this deep courage of having something beautiful that you can offer. So yes, I could talk about the right state of mind for a long time. I'm not going to do that because we're already almost half an hour in and I'm just at step number 1. So what would be step number 2 to take? So we're at this acronym, sexy as fuck. The first one, state of mind, we just talked about how important it is to come from a love space, to really want to serve from the heart. And that will be the antidote to all the nastiness, the sleaziness around marketing that we do not want. Okay? Then the second step that you need to take, and what's really important here, is that you explore the market. So it's amazing that you know your purpose and that you feel how you want to help and that you have all the mindset around it. But there's also a market that you want to go to, right? I mean, you want to take yourself to the market. So what is that market? You need to explore it. So the E would be for explore. So what do I mean with that? It means that you understand your audience. And understanding them is, yes, there's a few details that you need to get clear on. So for example, do they have a specific gender or not? Are they in a certain age demographics? Are they located somewhere? Because if you're doing in-person sessions, for example, you might focus on your local area. If not, if you're doing online work as well, then that already expands your territory. But it's not the only questions that you want to ask. Actually, one of the most important questions that you want to ask yourself is, who are these people, and really dive in a little bit deeper. Because if you don't get specific enough on who you want to help, and you just stay on the levels of statistics and demographics, then chances are you're going to spread it too thin, and you're not really going to be able to focus your message on a specific type of client. And the thing is, you do not want everyone to come in as a client. You do not want to serve everyone. There's this idea, I've asked this question so many times, like, okay, so who's your audience? And then people say, well, actually everyone, and the thing is, not everyone is your client. Everyone is not your client. If you're really trying to serve everyone in this world, you end up serving no one. And hold on, I'm just gonna take a sip of my tea because I'm fucking thirsty. Yes, it's a pussy, by the way. I love it. So, no, your client is not everyone. You get to be quite specific here. You can actually choose, you can define your audience based on, for example, some personality traits. What would be, what do these people share? What do they have in common with each other? And it doesn't have to be one specific niche. No, because, that sometimes can limit us. I know that everyone tells you to pick a niche. This is very popular in the marketing industry. Everyone will tell you need to pick a niche. And I understand why, because when you focus there, then you can, expand your audience later on. But I believe that we are quite versatile human beings. I know that I do not just resonate with one type of person or one demographic. I resonate with different kinds of people, and some people that I choose to work with, for example, if I'm in the role of the client, I sometimes also choose based on their knowledge, not because I like them so much, but they have an extreme amount of knowledge and experience, and that's what the reason for me. So your clients might choose you based on your experience and your knowledge, and others might choose you based on the fact that you have some like-minded views. So you want to find, let's say, 3 different groups of people that represent, or 3 types of people that you could serve. And you want to get really specific on what these groups share. You want to dive in deeper, not just demographics, but really ask yourself, so what are they struggling with? What is it that what's alive in them right now? And how can I help them to solve this, to get from what's alive now to where they want to be? This is a really important question that you want to ask yourself. Now, I cannot go into the how exactly right now because, we don't have the time for that. Just know that, anyone who will work with us in this course will get extensive question list, just a list with all questions that you can go through so that you can understand and really identify these clients and get to know them. Because the thing is, why do we do this? Why do we identify a client to that depth? That is because as soon as we do that, in the process, we start learning their language. And this is important because at some point we want to speak their language. For example, if you're only talking about your knowledge and the language that you use, there is a chance that these people that you want to help, they have no idea what you're talking about. I'm going to assume that you are a number of steps ahead of them. Otherwise, you're not the right person to help them. So you're going to be further along in the process for as far as there's a hierarchy. And that's great. But it still means that even though you have all this experience, keep in mind that they're not there yet and that they still need to understand what you're talking about. So this is why it's so important for you to get to know your audience so that you understand their language, so that you know the words that they use, so you can translate all of your messaging and your knowledge into their language. And this is so important. Otherwise, you're not going to connect. Otherwise, they cannot connect with you. In the end, we want to help them, right? We want to serve people. We want them to feel at some point, yes, this is a professional, a person who can help me. So understanding their language and their wording and what they need is crucial to be successful. And that's actually an interesting thing when we talk about language and words, especially in the realm of sexuality. And you might have some questions about this as well. I know that, there are words that, for example, aren't allowed. And actually, we're going to talk about this in the next step. So let me just flow into that next step so that naturally, because, it's coming up now. Because once we know, the state of mind that we're starting from. So we want to serve from the heart. That is the right state of mind to do marketing from. And then we explore the market. Who are the people that we really want to help? And then the next step, the X, would be for semantics. Okay, so this is a little bit of creative freedom that I took here. It's about semantics, words, but yeah, they're a little bit X-rated, right? Because we're talking about sexuality here as a profession. So semantics. How can we play with words around sexuality when so many words are censored on platforms? This is one of the key questions that you might have. And you might feel very frustrated around the fact that there are platforms out there who offer us the opportunity to voice our message, but at the same time, as soon as we talk about sex or intimacy or tantra or whatever, we're shushed or banned or our posts are taken down. It's a big frustration, and I fully get it. And it's also with certain images that's not allowed. Yeah, so how to deal with that? So there are a number of things to realize here. You can play with the words, and you see that all the time. So if you use other people's platforms like Facebook and like Instagram, so the mainstream social media platforms, if you use them, then yes, you have a free account probably, so you're using it for free. And it means that you have to play by their rules. You may like it or not. I don't always like it, for sure. But I'm also realizing that I'm not paying for all the work that's needed for the development, for the hosting of all that all that data. So we got to be aware of a level of entitlement here. We already get the opportunity to use it for free, so let's not bitch too much about this. But it does raise the question of where can we go without that level of control. And it's good to know that there are platforms out there that give us so much more space and so much more availability of really expressing ourselves, so that those are available. And at the same time, we want to rethink, when we talk about words and messaging, because that's what we're talking about in this third step, what is our message really? And I'm going to ask you, is it really about sex, for example? I mean, that's a word that is very hard to use, in these platforms. Often that's not allowed. Is that really what it's about? Or is it about something behind it that we can talk about? So I'm really going to ask you, and I'm going to invite you to rethink your message, and to ask yourself, what is in the end what I help people with. Is it with sex, or is it about intimacy? Is it about connection? Generally, it's about that. It's healing, for example, that you offer. So we can work around it and still really communicate our message by using, for example, words with different characters. Instead of typing sexuality, we do S and then a full stop and then an X. So we can play around with different characters in the word. Other than that, we can fully talk about intimacy and about connection and all these really beautiful results that we're actually giving them. So what is the message really about? What is the core of your message? It is, I've worked with quite some people in this field, and it really is rarely about the sex itself. And I'm pretty sure that you will know what I mean. And I'm just seeing if there's other comments here, because
I've worked with quite some people in this field, and
just to
see. Might feel very
oh my god!
And it really rarely about the sex.
I'm trying to see if there are any comments because I cannot see it here. But when I do that, I start seeing myself on the screen as well, and then you have a double sound. So sorry about that. That was a little bit of a technical thing. Cannot see your comments right now, unfortunately. So I was sharing about, how in the end it's not about the sex itself, but it's about so much more deeper experience that we actually long for. I know that sometimes I get questions in my Instagram, in my DM, and especially men, and I don't want to gender this too much, but they do ask questions around sex first. Only then when I dig deeper, they understand that, there is a need for connection or a need for more intimacy that they're lacking, for example. So this is something that is really important in your message, because that is what you can keep educating about. And we have such an opportunity here as professionals in this field, in this very precarious field that is so stigmatized in this society. We have a huge responsibility to re-educate people and to, really transmit our experience and what we can offer in the most beautiful way, and to teach people about the value of what sexuality really is about. And when it comes to message in this third step, I really would like to invite you to take this seriously, because this is how you can make a difference in your marketing, is by educating and really, really sharing a message from you. So don't just repeat everyone else's message. Don't just keep sharing everyone else's content. Have your own message. Really develop, what you believe in. Share your knowledge and the things that you encounter in your work to educate the world. And this is how we can really work around the fact that, for example, you cannot use ads. In this field, you cannot do any advertisement, for example, on social media. So you need to work around that. But with a strong message, you can really build up a solid following. And that's how you can make a difference. So the message is going to be one of your key things that I would recommend that you work on in your marketing, is really do message-based marketing. And I'm just going to share a little bit more about the course that is coming up in November, because the message is going to be an important part here as well. It's something that I'm big on. I used to be a copywriter for 15 years. I started my copywriting business 11 years ago, actually. And I was one of the top copywriters in my country. It's something I don't do anymore, but I've taken on all that knowledge that I have into my business, which is about branding and marketing, with the message as the core part. So we're going to take that in that 6-week program that I'm going to share a little bit more details on, just so that if this, you can feel into it, if this is your moment and if this is going to help you. So just a few basic details. So this is a marketing course for professionals in the realm of sexuality. So you might be a sex worker, or you might be a tantric body worker, or someone who works with, you know, sex positivity or sexuality. It's yeah, quite broad. Um, and it's going to be a 6-week marketing course that is going to support you setting up the basics right. So we've just talked about how important it is to have the right mindset. And within that step, we're going to do a lot of teachings as well, teachings about marketing and about your positioning specifically. In it, we're also going to talk about, you know, for example, how you can position yourself with the right labels. It's going to be very hands-on, and it's going to be very, you know, really shifting your mindset so that you can start loving this part of your business. 6 weeks, we're going to take you through the steps that we're talking about today. So each week will be dedicated to one of these steps. You will receive a lot of teachings, but also a lot of hands-on tools. So think of checklists, think of templates, basically tools for you to implement. Because, you know, if it's just going to be, generally I've seen that if it's just going to be me teaching you, then as soon as you need to apply it, you might feel like, oh my God, how do I do this? So I've really made it like a challenge for myself. How can I create tools that will help you to implement all the steps as easy as possible and as quickly as possible? Because, you know, you can learn everything, but without implementation, it's not going to be of value. And the implementation, that's actually what you're committing to. You can commit to any kind of marketing teaching course, but it's implementation that's going to make the difference. And this requires a commitment on your behalf, but also on my behalf on simplifying the implementation for you. So it's going to be an implementation course with me helping you, giving you the tools to implement as quickly and as easy as you can. All right. 6 weeks, it starts on the November 5th. So 6 weeks from then, and then in week 6 we have one break, and then the final week is going to be Friday 17th of December, and then we're closing this. It's going to be very hands-on. It's going to be a maximum of 30 people first. Okay, so for this container, for me to be able to carry it, and for you to have enough space to ask questions and, you know, see examples, we're going to limit this. And this is not a marketing trick that I'm throwing at you here. This is not a scarcity trick. This is a real maximum of 30 for this live container. Okay, so and I'm doing this because I really want to be able to deliver quality to you at this point. Okay. November 5th, know that we have an early bird discount up until Sunday. So if you feel like you really want to do this, that this is going to help you, you know, because you're going to get so many teachings and so many tools that you can implement and lots of extras. If you feel like, okay, I need to amp up my marketing skills, otherwise I'm not going to be able to launch my business or level up my business, then make the decision before Sunday, because it's going to give you a pretty good discount. Usually the price or the investment that you'll be making would be 777 ex VAT, depending on where in the world you are. And with the discount, the early bird discounts, it'll be 666, the devil's number. We have some limited availability for people with small budgets. Now, I'm really going to ask you to tune in if that really is you, okay? And to invite you to come from a place of abundance, trusting the universe that the investment that you're making, that it's going to come back to you. This is one of the things that I decided for myself. Every time I invest in a business course, and I've invested a lot in business courses, learning from the best. And I remember when I actually invested 25K in a speaking course, my heart was pounding. I was like, oh, fuck. But I decided, I made a commitment to myself. You know what? I'm going to make sure that I make back this money within a year. And that mindset already, propelled me into success. So I did that. I really decided to make sure that I was going to make sure this was profitable for me. I invite you to do the same with this, that you see this as an investment in your success, and that you simply decide, you know what, this is going to be 1 or 2 clients that I need to serve, and then I'll have the money back. You could basically have made the money back within 2 weeks. That's kind of how I decided for myself. So in that, and always know that this is an investment, you're going to make more money with it. Oh, that was my elbow. So I hope that these basics are going to help you a little bit more about this on the website. And I'm going to ask Ria or Shawnee to actually put the link to the page in the comments. We're going to also add this to this live video. We're going to add it to the group several times. Actually, right now I cannot do that. I'm doing this. But we're going to make it easy for you so that you can see all the details on the page and you can basically sign up. All right. Would love to have you on and welcome you in our container. Now let's move on. We talked about the right state of mind, marketing from the heart. We talked about how important it is that you really understand your market so that you can actually serve them, not from what you want to share, but actually in the language that they understand. We talked about how important your message is going to be because the world needs to be re-educated about sexuality and how that is never just about sex, how it's about so much more. And your message is very, very needed and welcome here. Then the why, sexy. After the X comes the why. Yield. That is all about yielding your client, harvesting your clients. How can you do that? How can you make sure that you can actually get those leads in, and make sure that you're welcoming them into your field, into your space where you can serve them? What we need to understand here is that there's 3 basic principles that we need to know when it comes to yielding clients. And that is that the strategy here, because we're talking about a roadmap, we want them to come to our place, our space where we can, to us. So let's say that they're here in the room with us, where we can do our session with them. There's a whole journey that they've been through before getting here. What does that journey usually look like? You need to make sure that that is clear, okay? So you need to get clarity on the roadmap. And there's not just one way, there's several ways. But to draw that roadmap, the strategy to get them from where they are right now, to get them here to your room, to your space, or to your online environment, you need to really understand the business model. Okay, so you need to understand, for example, what type of product. Is it a one-to-one? And most of you will probably do one-to-one in-person offerings or sessions. In that case, you need to understand there will be a difference in the type of marketing that you do. Something that we will talk about more in the course. So you need the clarity on, how are you going to get them in? What's the journey that they're going to go through? Also, what we want to consider is, to what level do we keep control of that whole journey? Many professionals often want to rely on social platforms because they're available for us. But then again, there's this big frustration around the fact that sometimes your account might be blocked or banned because you talk about things that the world isn't ready for. Sexuality is quite a theme, isn't it? It's something very, it's a very sensitive topic. So they want to ban us and they want to censor us. So that might sometimes make you feel like you don't have control over your account. And it's true, we don't. We're using someone else's platform. So lucky us that we don't even have to pay for it. So how can we increase that sense of control? So I'm not talking about the negative sense of control here. I'm talking about really having ownership of, that journey that we take people through, so that we don't just, we're not at the, how do you, oh my God, my English is leaving me at the moment, but basically, we don't just want to be dependent on, for example, Facebook, Instagram, or other platforms to help us get our message out there. We also want to create some kind of basic infrastructure that we have a little bit more control of. So that if we're basically banned on social media, there's still a client base that we're connected to. This is really important. This um, basic business principles is that you really want to make sure that you have a client base, or at least, a way to connect with your client that doesn't rely on other people's platforms only. So if right now your business is social media only and that's what you're doing for your marketing, then you need to redo this. And this is exactly why most professionals out there, most professionals in spiritual work, in tantric work, in sexuality, they need this. They need to understand marketing better, because social media is not marketing. Okay? You need more than that. And that's what we're going to get into, to make sure that your roadmap, that the infrastructure is better than only you relying on other people's platforms. Know that advertising might also be a challenge. Advertising is usually something that all the other professionals in different industries, they can use advertising on these platforms, something that is not allowed in the world of sexuality. So again, you need to work around this, but there are ways. Messaging is one of the key things, and we just talked about that. So then when you've done that, once you have the platforms in place, once you have, the different roads, the different journeys that people go through to get to you, once you set up the infrastructure and you have a solid base work, then things need to get aligned. So the fifth step would be about aligning it all. We've worked about pieces. So far, we've worked on different pieces of the puzzle that now we need to bring together. And that is step number 5, aligning this all. So for example, really putting things into words for the world to see. Writing a fucking bio, for example. Writing other pieces for your website, making sure that everything's connected so that, it starts working together. And this is usually quite some work, but it's also beautiful once you have done the work, So there's some basic do's and don'ts, and in the course we'll be talking about that more, basic do's and don'ts that you want to, for your website, for example, also for your positioning. Because the beautiful thing about this alignment is that the brand and the marketing, so the inside work that you've done and the outside work that becomes visible for the rest of the world, it starts coming together so that it really feels congruent, so that people will start seeing, okay, this is for me, or it's not for me, which is really amazing as well. When you align it, you want to align it with how you want to position yourself from the inside out, and you want to align it with the people that you want to help with. You want to help and serve. Make sure that this is all put into this beautiful piece of copy, for example. And it doesn't have to align with people that you don't want to help anyway. Okay, so you don't need to align it with everyone, just as a repetition. And then finally, the final step would be the AF after all, to forge ahead. And so what would this be about? Well, this would be about the basic principles, the basic skills that you need to continuously do your marketing. And the great thing is that you've already learned so much up then in that step, that continuing it will be about tweaking, about finding new ways, or maybe building a new roadmap for your client or for a new product. And this is why marketing is an ongoing thing, because you might at some point have a new offering. You might, expand from doing one-to-one sessions to, for example, doing an online course or doing a workshop. And that requires a new marketing, a new exploration of the marketing, or a new exploration of the market. And you basically have to do the same work over and over again. Ask me how I know. It's because I need to continuously do this as well, and I need to tweak, and I need to find what works, because what works for me might not entirely work for you. This is why this is really, yeah, also a journey of trial and error and finding your own path in it. So after 6 weeks, then, and in these 6 steps that we've just gone through, and this is, like I said, we're going to do this in 6 weeks' time. After that, you'll have all the ingredients that you need and all the skills and knowledge that you need to really start doing your marketing ongoing after that, with templates on how to write social media posts, how to write a sales page, or how to write some stuff for your website. And it's going to be a really interesting, beautiful journey. So we are almost an hour in now. We've talked about becoming sexy as fuck, which is all about attracting the right clients so that you can actually help them. Remember that I started with the sentence that marketing is about helping people to understand if and why your offer is of value to them. That is the goal the aim that we're going for, is to help people understand if your offer, without an offer, there's nothing, you cannot sell anything. So the offer is crucial, and why this is of value to them. That's everything basically wrapped into this one sentence. And becoming sexy as fuck is this 6-week marketing course that is going to take you through that. More importantly, we are super excited to do this with you, and I'm actually very honored, Shawnee. I wanna really thank you for being able to work with you on this, for these amazing, beautiful people who are so purpose driven. I know that because I've met many of them also in your course, Shawnee, and also because I am one of them, given that I'm in the field as well, which is another business of mine. So I'm basically in the same boat as you all. So I really understand the challenges that we're all going through, and I'd love to step into my role as the marketer to make sure that all of us can make our magic in this field, in this beautiful world where sexuality needs to be redefined. Let me put it that way. Yeah, and it really, people long for a deepening in intimacy and to be re-educated. So thank you all for today. Again, Shawnee, thank you for this opportunity. And I am absolutely really looking forward and honored to be working with all of you. If you have any questions about today, if you have any questions about the upcoming program, Becoming Sexy as Fuck, that we're going to share a link, by the way. We're going to put that in the comments and also in this text. And if you, in the caption around this video, we're going to share more about this in the upcoming weeks. But if you have questions, you can DM Shawnee, obviously. You can also DM me directly. I would be very happy to accept your friendship request if you would like that. And then we can talk about if this is your step right now, and how it's going to help you in the future. So, like I said before, I cannot see the comments. Don't ask me why. And let's see if I can see some of that now in my phone. I'm not really sure if that's going to work. Thank you so much. Yes, yes, yes. No, I can't. I can't read it. I'll read it later. Thank you all. Sending you so much love, and I cannot wait to get your questions and DMs and applications. And remember that there's place for 30 people in this container. And yay, let's make magic together. The world needs you and every one of us. Mwah. Ciao.